A senior law enforcement source tells CNN the gunman had an extensive social media presence online with lots of neo-Nazi and white supremacist posts. A photo obtained by CNN shows the shooter on the ground after a police officer shot and killed him. And you see that he's wearing a black tactical vest and gear. And CNN source says that he had a patch on that tactical vest with the letters RWDS. Now, why does that matter? Because police believe that stands for Right-Wing Death Squad. Extremists have been known to wear that insignia at rallies.
Authorities are confirming that the shooter that was responsible for the deaths at the Texas Outlet Mall, Mauricio Garcia, does have ties to right-wing extremism. And by that, we mean he might be a right-wing extremist based on what we've seen. Garcia's alarming social media posts that were first reported by the New York Times today are pretty telling. They reported investigators are trying to learn why a gunman fatally shot at least 8 people at a Texas mall. They're examining his social media profile, rife with hate-filled rants against women and Black people that they believe belonged to the gunman. The profile found on the social media site OK.ru matches the gunman's birthday and refers to a motel where he was staying before the shooting. The profile includes language praising Hitler with references to neo-Nazi websites like the Daily Stormer. The profile also includes a screenshot from Google Maps showing the time at which the mall where the shooting took place was likely to be busiest. Although some conservative morons are trying to argue that he couldn't be a white supremacist because they say he was Latino. Let's look at this tweet. The Allen, Texas mass shooter's name has been released while mainstream media is fervently trying to tie this incident to white supremacy. I just want to say there was never in the history of racism, or there has never in the history of racism, been a Klan member or neo-Nazi with a name even remotely close to Mauricio Garcia. No one has ever heard of Nick Fuentes. I think everybody knows Nick Fuentes. Just because this person was Latino doesn't mean he can't be a white supremacist. I think many people know that Spain colonized many countries in Latin and Central America. There are white people who are Latino. Apparently this is news to members of the right in the United States. So Waz, what are your initial reactions to this? To me, I was like, oh, of course.
This is not funny. I shouldn't be laughing, but so much for Tucker Carlson's replacement theory, right? If Latins can just come here and adopt neo-Nazi ideology, and follow the sort of teachings of white supremacists, white people are actually not being replaced. They're adding to their numbers. Apparently, I think Tucker Carlson will be pissed to learn that. But no, I mean, I'm not surprised, right? Again, they said this guy is living out of a motel. No, but if anybody in your own individual life tells you that they're living out of a motel, you know that they've hit tough times, hard times. Again, this is somebody living on the fringes of society, alienated from his community, obviously dealing with some deep hatred and anger issues, and also, oh, by the way, happens to be in a country with the most firearms in the world, right? And so, yeah, that's just a terrible concoction. To be honest, and some people might disagree with me, this incident isn't made worse by the fact that this fool was on terrible internet websites. Like that he posted on the internet a few times. Like for me, this doesn't make this any more or less tragic, knowing those facts. Like the fact of the matter is, this guy clearly his life was not on the up and up. And to me, that's probably a huger factor as to why he would go out and commit such a senseless act.
Yeah, I think loneliness contributes a lot to people having their fear of society weaponized into hatred. I think that's huge. Yeah. And your point about the replacement theory that Tucker and a lot of folks have been pushing on the right is a good one. It's a valid one because we've changed our standards for what it means to be white in the United States a lot. And our definition of white is different from other places in the world. I can't help but think of Rick Caruso's comments that he's not white, he's Italian. So yeah, that shifted over time. But apparently, this Texas shooter was a fan of Nick Fuentes. In a recent post, This is reporting from the Daily Beast. He mused about the Latino people being white and cited Nick Fuentes, a white supremacist with Hispanic heritage. Hell, Nick Fuentes said something like that while he was on the Pearl Show. He wrote, "I think I even read in the news, Hispanics could be the new white supremacist." Garcia entered the army in June of 2008, but was terminated after 3 months and did not complete basic training. Army spokesperson Heather Hagen said Monday. A US defense official said Garcia was separated because of a mental health condition after receiving a mental health evaluation. It seems to me that whenever we have cases where someone does something as insane as a mass shooting, there are people who have been worried about their mental health in the past. There are people who could have said, hey, maybe we should look into someone like this, but we don't have systems or structures set up to deal with the mental health crisis we have in the United States. But it seems time and again we hear about these mass shooters, and there are people that are close to them that could have said something. You were getting at that earlier, Waz. It's just really sad. And the fact that you have folks like Nick Fuentes spreading white supremacist rhetoric and really targeting people like this guy, that's a problem. It's a threat to our security, and we don't take that very seriously in the United States. In Germany, they take very seriously when they see, white supremacist rhetoric within their police force. If they find it on one group chat, they disband the entire police unit. They take really seriously the prevalence of white supremacy. We don't in the United States. And I think that's a huge problem and definitely a part of this. Any final thoughts on this one, Waz?
Yeah, I mean, again, we live in a society where, it's pretty dangerous out there. So many things can happen to you that can knock your life off course, right? Especially when it comes to a mental health capacity. There's absolutely no infrastructure in place to help people who don't themselves already have the resources to go out and find this type of mental health. Also, we already know how mental health can affect people's ability to do, work. To actually work and support themselves. And so there's no support for your mental health. If you cannot work, there damn sure ain't gonna be no social safety net. You will not be able to eat, clothe yourself, find adequate shelter. You're on your own. You are left on your own. And all of the people in the society who hoard all of our resources, they don't have a care in the world. They think they're cloistered from this type of stuff and these type of folks. They don't care about the consequences of building this kind of society. And again, it's just sad.
Yeah, this is the conversation that's missing from mainstream news coverage. And Waz, whenever we get on together, we always get so deep into like the systemic oppression behind the news. But when the news is reported frequently by mainstream media, it's just like this person did this, these people were affected.
It's very individualized.
Exactly.
And it takes zero account of society at large and the role it plays in shaping people's lives. Like straight up, these are decisions we've made as a society. These outcomes don't just appear out of thin air. Like these are policy decisions. These are money decisions, quite frankly. And we're reaping the benefits of that.
Absolutely. I think about the connection to the military here. I think about, 2 generations ago, so like our parents' parents being sent off to fight in wars that they didn't support, that were terribly violent, thinking about the Vietnam War and the other many wars that the United States have just sent everyday working people off to endure a lot of trauma, struggle to get access to healthcare and reintegrate into society when they come back. And then they raise kids, and we expect our kids to not be affected by their parents' mental state, by that trauma. It really seems to me that people are sick, and we can really identify the violence beginning and ending with the state in many occasions. And I don't think that's a reach. I think that's really what it is. And I think there's a reason mainstream media doesn't want to cover it. It doesn't fit their dominant narrative.